Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of the book of Boba Fett, The Gathering Storm. And I thought this was an okay episode. It pretty much got us through the kind of last portions, if you will, of the flashbacks to get us pretty much up to the present, and details a little bit more of the kind of beginnings of Fennec Shan's relationship with Boba Fett. And then pretty much we get back into the center and pretty much see that Boba Fett's preparing for war. So we see him in the back of the tank again, and then we see that he's been looking at Bib Fortuna's kind of place, well, Jabba's place, and trying to figure out how to get his ship back. And he's always saying, not today with the Bantha that he's riding, so he's going around, and then it links up to the Mandalorian episode where we see that Fennec got shot in the gut and she got rescued. And Boba Fett's like, okay, she needs medical attention, and decides to take her to a mod place. Similar to the mod gang that we see running around with them at the present. And he's like, do you have an appointment? He's like, no. She's like, yeah, well, she's going to die, so I got the money. Can you save her life? He's like, all right, cool. And then we see a little montage where he's like getting her all fixed up and everything like that. And it's just like, okay, granted, I'd be happy being like, hey, I'm going to be alive. Though, granted, it would depend upon what needed to be removed and what not, because this isn't exactly a medical kind of place. So I could imagine that Fennec would have been kind of pissed off if they had like done anything that had been like really, really invasive and changing with the mods, but they, I guess, I don't know. It says it was a gut shot, and the thing is, she does seem to still eat and drink, so I don't know what exactly they kind of like fix around in there. We do see her like getting all kind of changed up, and then she wakes up and he's like, yeah, drink the black melon. Yeah, it's kind of an acquired taste. And she's like, all right, cool, what, okay, I'm in debt to you. What do you need? He's like, can you help me get my ship back, pretty much? And he, of course, takes her there. She's like, wow, there are a lot of guards there. All right. And she then sends in this little drone that, like, pretty much maps the place, and there's a fuck ton of guards there. Yeah, okay. So they pretty much try and figure out a game plan. He, like, sends his bantha to go away, and we see more of him being really all right with animals. I kind of like the humanizing aspect of what they're attempting to do with Boba Fett. Though it does seem kind of uneven at this point. They go heavily with being like, yeah, we gotta try and give Boba Fett some more sympathetic characteristics. And then at other points, it's like, okay, maybe he needs to go a little bit more hammer on certain things to like get things done. So it gets back, they're getting ready to go, and they go through pretty much like this sewer kind of port. And then we get this weird kind of thing going on in this kitchen where the one droid that I think is the same one that was like telling certain droids what to do, they're making and cooking meals for Bib. And it's like, all right, cool, sounds like a rat, but it's actually Boba and Fennec. And then they take out two of the droids. Fennec pretty much like cutting one's throat. That was like, damn. Cutting its head off is like, all right. It did look interesting with all the different kind of knives, but it's just like the kind of classic Indiana Jones thing where the dude does all the sword maneuvers and then Indy just shoots his ass. Hey, I don't mind that trope. It's just, it's got to be executed pretty well. And this, I was like, okay, I can get that. And then we have a chase sequence because they called in a droid rat catcher to kind of come for it, and Boba just chases it around for a little bit, and then it shuts itself off. Right? Well, they're able to get to the ship, and Boba's trying to check what's going on, because it has been a while since, I guess, somebody's, like, fucked around with it. And then, of course, we get all these guards coming in to pretty much shoot at him, and I like my action scenes, but Fennec pretty much is, like, taking them all out like ain't nobody's business. Not that I like it kind of, like, back and forth on certain action scenes, or at least to showcase certain things. Now, granted, this does showcase her being a master assassin, because she's just pretty much tanking people down left and right. And then Boba's just like, all right, trying to get this working out. They kind of get some shit going, and they're able to kind of like fly out. It's like, all right. And he's like, all right, your debt's paid. Where do you want me to drop you off? And she's like, cool, I'll just ride around with you for a while. He's like, all right. So he pretty much buzzes by and annihilates the speeder bike gang. This is where I'm like, when you got the hammer going up and down, it's like, all right, cool. We see that he's good with people, with animals. And with this biker gang, he's like, fuck you, motherfuckers. You did this shit to the Tuscan people. You're done. You're outer rim law, motherfucker. And takes them all out. And then, one of the weirder kind of decisions of the episode, I say that because evidently Boba Fett does not remember that the Jawas took his armor off after he had escaped from the Sarlacc. And instead he's going into the Sarlacc like, I want to find my armor. It's like, it's probably dissolved by now. Doesn't do that to Beskar. Okay. And then it pretty much is almost trying to eat the ship before Fennec touches one of the buttons, and one of the sonic mines kind of gets down and annihilates it. And he's like, "Don't touch my buttons." Like, you made a stupid boneheaded move that almost got them both killed, and she made a move to make sure that you both didn't die. Well, I had a reasonable chance that you both wouldn't die. Because whenever you're dealing with explosives like that in that kind of close quarters range, you most likely would probably have taken yourself out with that as well. So he then actually goes in without the armor. Is like, yeah, it's not in there. And she's like, that shit's corrosive, man. You need a Bacta tank now. And that's what I kind of thought was going on. It's like, all right, so that pretty much sets us up. He, of course, has been laying throughout all this stuff that he wants to be in charge now, because all the people that usually send them on runs and stuff as being hunters are dumb, short-sighted assholes that usually pretty much get them all killed, and he wants to do one for those hunters, build a place that would be good for them. It's like, all right, cool. And he wants Fennec to join him on it, and she's like, I like my freedom, like being a contractor. He's like, well, you're something that others can't. Loyalty. You're loyal to me, I'm loyal to you. I'll help you and everything and do that. And she's like, alright, cool, I can see that. And I'm like, this is pretty kind of cool. I kind of like seeing this kind of stuff working out like this. It's not much, mind you, but it gets the job done. Then we pretty much get into the present. We see them pretty much, hey, congratulations on being done with your healing, Boba Fett. He's like, alright, what's the situation? What do we need to pretty much get done? Talking about how the mod people pretty much seen that the Pike Syndicate's pretty much moving in, and they got to kind of figure out what's going on. They don't know what's going on with the mayor, but Boba Fett, even though he's been a target for assassination, he's going to go walk around and see what's going on. So he goes back to Whip's place, and we see that Chrysanthemum's there, and we see that some Trandosans are just having some fun, and he's a pissed off Wookiee, and he just starts beating wholesale ass, and then is about to rip a Trandoshan to shreds as Boba Fett's watching on. Whip's like, hey, cool. Pretty much trying to flatter him to the point of please don't rip this dude apart. And you think it works with him, and he's like, fuck that, I'm a pissed off Wookiee. And then rips the arm off. It's like, shit. It's like, alright. She's like, I tried to appeal to reason, to his gladiatorial instincts. Ain't nothing. And then because she was like, hey, listen, you don't do this, we comp your tab, man. And I understand certain people, it's the rage takes over and shit. But I'm like, yeah, you could just had your tab taken care of. Because he's pays and walks out. And then we see that Boba Fett goes to him and is like, hey, dude, you need a job. And then he works for him. I understand that we kind of needed this scene to see a little bit more of Chrysanthemum's character. However, it feels like him being let go, why didn't they just kind of talk about it before? It's like, listen, yeah, I know you were hired to kill me. They say that they release that kind of stuff. You just kind of want to work for me because I'm going to have some crazy ass shit going down because I'm going to be fighting some motherfuckers. So you want in? You know, it's almost kind of okay, why did you let him go in the first place? You still could have done that character kind of development stuff going on. As you're going out, you see him walking around trying to help Boba Fett do his whole kind of daimyo thing. He gets a little bit too rough or whatnot. Boba has to either rein him in or understand why he's going that rough to try and do that. See him kind of like talking to Chrysanthemum about how he's trying to do respect instead of fear, and how maybe he thinks that that is a kind of weaker kind of way in trying to get his own points across to Boba Fett. But we don't really kind of get that. We just get that he's going from employer to employer. He got screwed over on the one, and that's about it. It's like, alright, cool, we got that. He then decides to meet with all the other kind of major players in Mos Espa and tries to get them to his side. Let's see here. And most of them are just like, why the fuck would we, like, work with you? It's like, oh, I get that, yeah. And of course the Rancor kind of goes, and it's like, ah, shit, he's got a fucking Rancor. He's like, listen, I get that the proposition of you guys working with me on this doesn't completely appeal to you. Maybe if all else fails, you just stay neutral with the Pike Syndicate, and he gets pretty much an okay from all of them. It's like, all right, it's really weird. I understand he's trying to do with respect and everything, but he should have been able to make a better kind of case. I mean, he's pretty much saying that if the Pike Syndicate is allowed to gain this foothold, they'll pretty much take over Tatooine, and you guys will be either working for them or out of business completely, pretty much probably killed if they're able to utilize gangs like they did before to take out the Tuskens, probably. Well, granted, that was the biker gang being like, yeah, we're protection for these people, so I don't think we'd like another kind of protection racket, going on around us. There's a lot of different kind of ways that I wish that this had gone. I mean, it does serviceably for a bare minimum thing, but there's different kind of cool ways that they could have done this. So he's not able to persuade them to like join him, but tries to persuade them to stay neutral, though. One of them, the wink wink nudge nudge of like betrayal kind of shit, kind of, you get that real kind of feeling. So then we see that Boba and Fennec are then talking. He's like, listen, we need more muscle, because he had also talked about in the beginning why he wanted Fennec to join him is that she's got muscle and brain. Like, that's a pretty good combination, so he needs kind of more muscle to actively go on this war. He's like, alright, yeah, I got a lot of credits. Who do you have in mind? And then, of course, they're playing the Mandalorian theme, so as the episode plays out, so that hopefully gets to the point that they'll hire the Mando to come and help them out and take on this crime syndicate, which then it'll show us how he's kind of doing and get us a little bit information on that front, while also having him do some cool-ass action shit with Boba Fett and Fennec and all that. And I think he'd be up for it, so hopefully that's how it goes. And then we'll kind of see how that kind of works out. This is a kind of a little over halfway point, since this is episode 4 out of episodes 7. So we'll kind of have to see how long the kind of war will take on. Granted, I think we still need a gathering of the forces kind of phase. So I think, I mean, granted, he has been doing that slowly, but I think prep and gathering will be the next episode. Maybe the actual war afterwards, and then kind of like resolution from all the things going on in the last episode. That's, however, what I'm thinking. That's how that could go out. Now, granted, it could be completely different as we go on, but we'll kind of have to see how that goes. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.